Hello everyone and welcome to another historic video. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than the usual. There has been a lot of requests for this car spawning pod to make a deck out of it. And again, I'll have to warn you guys that this is a bit of a concept, right? Rather than a full-fledged deck. So any of you guys can make some suggestions to make the deck better. Leave it in the comments below so I can take a look. But this is a new alchemy card from the Phyrexia all-1v1. It's a 3-mana artifact. You can sacrifice a creature by paying 1 mana, seek a creature card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana, and put that card onto the battlefield. That creature is a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So idea with this card in this deck is to sacrifice a creature and you slowly climb it up until you get a fatter and fatter creature. But since we're putting cards onto the battlefield, we want all the cards to do something when it actually does come down. So starting off at 2 mana slot, we have the Acquisition Expert. In the video that you're going to see, I'm actually playing the Burglar Rat, but this is the card that I ended up with after the games that I played. And once you sacrifice the Acquisition Expert, you have Crucius, Titan of Waves, so that you can play cards on curve since it does make a treasure token, and get rid of a land or even discard a creature that you're not going to be able to cast anytime soon, since we do actually play a lot of high cost creatures. But the discarding is actually pretty relevant because we actually do play a 7-mana card called Forge Fire Automaton, which also has a prototype cost that you can play this card for a 3-mana 3/2, but the original stat is a 7-mana 8/5. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card with power less than this card's power from the graveyard to the battlefield. Its base power perpetually becomes equal to this card's power. So if you play the prototype cost, for example, you can get back any cards in the graveyard that have power less than 3. So in our case, we have cards like Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elf, Acquisition Expert, and lastly, we are actually playing 2 copies of Ravenous Chupacabra, which is a 4-mana 2/2. So if you do get this card from the Birthing Pod into destroying a creature, if the Ravenous Chupacabra does end up dying, just by playing Forge Fire Automaton for only 3 mana, you can get back a Chupacabra from the graveyard onto the battlefield on your upkeep. But if you do play this card for 7 mana or get it upgraded using the spawning pod, you're going to be basically able to get back any creature from the graveyard onto the battlefield, since every card in the deck will have less than 8 power. So going back to 4 drops, if you do sacrifice a Crucius, other than Ravenous Chupacabra, we also do play 3 copies of City Stalker Connoisseur, which is going to be one of our rare disruption card in the deck, alongside with Ravenous Chupacabra and Acquisition Expert. And once you do sacrifice to the spawning pod, you're guaranteed Workshop Warcheap, which will get you 3 life once it comes onto the battlefield. And once it dies, it does create a 4/4, which is going to be nice, since if you do sacrifice it to the spawning pod, Workshop Warcheap will leave a 4/4 on the battlefield. And if you do, you are going to be able to get a Wormcoil Engine guaranteed, which will also leave 2 3/3s with Death Touch and Lifelink once you do sacrifice the spawning pod into getting a Forge Fire Automaton. And since the Forge Fire Automaton is now a 7-mana card, it has 8 power, then you can get back a Wormcoil Engine that you just sacrificed with the Forge Fire Automaton onto the battlefield. And finally, if you got this far and then you sacrifice a Forge Fire Automaton, then you're going to be able to get a Craterhoof Behemoth, which will hopefully end the game. So yeah, that's going to be it for the intro, and I'll leave you guys with some of the games that I played in Best of 3 Historic Ladder to show you guys how the deck does. And I'll also have a post-game section talking a little bit more about the deck and the cards that I did end up replacing. So stick around, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Hey, there it is, Burglar Rat, the best card in the game. Compared to Burglar Rat, there's actually Yarok too. But to play a black card that requires double black, you need like 20 sources of black, which is impossible. Einhardt. New card? Okay, we don't really actually care about that card. Okay, we might actually care about that card now. Now that it's a 2/3 double strike. This is kind of interesting. Like, what do I bottom? We could try to bin the Workshop War Chief since, like, we're not going to die soon. We could try to go for, like, Wormcoil Engine, maybe? Okay. So, we're gonna chump with Ravenous Chupacabra. And, oh my god. And we're gonna be able to get it back with the Forge Fire Automaton, which is pretty cool. Well, the question is, do we play another Automaton? I don't think we do because we're actually going to be able to hardcast the next turn, right? Wormcoil Engine. Excuse me? Sheoldred in your human deck? That's illegal. And here we go. I think we have to get rid of the Einhart. Yeah, I mean, it's a 4/5 with double strike. I think we have to get rid of that. Well, that was pretty sweet. And let's get rid of the last card they have. Thoughtseize. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, so next turn we can play Forge Fire Automaton. Just full cost and get back like Chupacabras and stuff. I mean, I doubt they're gonna attack. Should I pitch Wormcoil Engine? Okay, so there is a copy of Craterhoof right now. Is this enough to kill them in one shot? Let's say I bin the Wormcoil Engine. Okay, we didn't get it, but we can get back the Wormcoil Engine just by hard casting the Forge Fire Automaton? Since it has 8 power, right? Man, this card is kind of slept on, honestly. We could block it with Chupacabra, but let's just get a City Stalker in the graveyard, I guess. Rather not just give them a card for free, like they can just upgrade it, right? So let's get back a Llanowar Elf. 3/1 Llanowar Elf, by the way. And next turn, they're gonna have a problem. Man. So funny thing is, if they block this, I can get it back with Forge Fire Automaton as well to kill the Shaldred if I wanted to. Okay. Easy game. I mean, at this point, doesn't really matter. Crater Hoof Behemoth. What? Wait, how did they know that I have a Crater Hoof Behemoth? There's no way. What? It doesn't reveal. Why'd you surrender, opponent? What? Do I even sideboard? Like, I feel like our deck is just really good versus them. Oh, I mean, I can have Elish Norn. Wait, why is it 62 cards? What the heck? Whoops. Whoops. I guess the Connoisseur is the worst card. I'd rather have, like, Elvish Mystic, right? Maybe instead of the, I'll just... Okay, maybe, like, a copy of Legion's End. Oh my god. I have to play with 61 cards! I have to play with 61 cards! Oh, there it is. But we don't have green? I mean, surely we'll draw green, right? We have 16 sources of green. Okay. I mean, you can take a spawning pod. We don't have a green source. Oh my. Well played, opponent. Huh, they got rid of an Adeline. They must have another one, right? Okay. Well, we have a kind of a problem. These burglar rats are just not it versus their deck. I do wonder, like, is there a better card to play on the 2-drop than a burglar rat? It needs to be like an ETB and like be a disruption card at the same time though. Because we don't really play that many disruptions to begin with. Ooh, that's actually really bad. Shaldred. Well, I will say this is not a good sign. They have million Luminarch Aspirants. Oh. Wait, that is insane. Because now if they can't ever attack now because if Chupacabra ever goes to the graveyard. Yeah. They can't attack. I have to play 2 cards here. Do I actually? So I could cycle the Llanowar Elf. And just play Forgefire Automaton. Because the thing is, Llanowar Elf is gonna ping me 1 anyways. Wait, hold up. Wrong card. So, if they attack, we can block with Chupacabra. But if they don't attack, then Forgefire Automaton is gonna get back a Llanowar Elf, which is gonna be a 3-1. So, in the end, I think we're gonna be able to hopefully get through this, I think. Whoa, they're attacking with both of them. They must have found an answer. Obviously, this block could be a thing, but I could also be greedy and just play it like this. But if they have another Trespasser, I'm dead anyways, I think. So... okay. Well... yeah, so if they had another Trespasser, I was dead anyways the following turn, since I can't kill both of the Trespassers, only one of them. Maybe a City Stalker is actually not that bad. Yeah, maybe I should just play Push. Molten Impact. Take out the Elf. And Fable. I'm beginning to think Fable is a bad card in this deck. I know it sounds crazy, but... let's go with this. Ooh. Okay. Okay, well, to be fair, Fable isn't something that I've drawn yet, so I can't really assess it. You have another... oh, no. Can I play with Spawning Pod, please? Just once? I still have yet to play with it. What? A land would be nice, actually. We can't ever play the Spawning Pod because it's always discarded. Feels bad. Oh. Oh. Okay, so it's gonna be a Workshop War Chief. I think that's good, right? Or should I just Spawning Pod and Fatal Push? You know what? I think this is fine. I think I'm... Well, it's because like I was thinking maybe I shouldn't block because of the spawning pod, but ho 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 oh ho ho. Wait a minute, actually. Oh yeah. Rat. Look at this, Burglar Rat, the best card. Goodbye. Spawning pod, what a card. Okay, I don't want like million war chiefs though. Oh, they only have lands. I have one more. Workshop or chief meta. It's so sick that Crucius can get Forge Fire Automaton, which can be played for only 3 mana. Okay, we need to fix the deck so that it doesn't have 61 cards. I mean, we have 16 black sources, but I don't think we can keep this hand, honestly. Yep. Ooh. Spawning pod? Don't do it. Oh my god, they have a counter spell. No way, right? No way. Nobody plays counterspell on turn 1. There's no way. Oh no. No. Oh, please. Let me just play Spawning Pod. Everybody's just like hand disruption. Spell pierce. Oh no. I mean, it's just that easy. It's just that easy. So to sacrifice or wait? So actually, we should sacrifice it because we want to be able to block, right? With the rat. So if the rat does die, we can Forge Fire Automaton, get it back again, and they have to discard. This is really bad though. The Infiltrator is not good. Oh, that means they probably don't have a ninja. Oh no. That in itself is like really bad. Man, that tap land was also bad. Feels bad, man. I don't think we can block, unfortunately. We go down to 5. Let's get back a rat. 3-1 rat, by the way. Hmm. So we could sacrifice the rat to get a Crucius. And I think we bin the Worm Coil Engine to get... I may have kind of misplayed. I think I overvalued the Forge Fire Automaton a little bit too much. Yeah. Now we're in this situation. Because we could have gotten like either Chupacabra or a Death Toucher. Actually, if we gotten Death Toucher, it wouldn't have actually mattered too much. I don't know. This game requires a miracle. Hmm. So I need a Chupacabra. Ooh, okay. That's a start. And I need Forge Fire Automaton. So now, if they do attack, my Chupacabra goes into the graveyard and comes back, eating the 4/4. That's pretty cool. Alright. And then we block. Ninjutsu. Okay, slightly annoying. Drown in the lock. Ooh, that's actually really bad. What a top deck. How do we get out of this? It needs to be exactly the 5-mana card. I need a Rhino right now. Please. Oh, that's even better. Wait, that's actually even better. Oh my god. Spawning Pod. Chupacabra. Get a Rhino. Staying alive. Staying alive. Please stop. Stop ninjutsuing. Please. Oh my god. Okay, we're down to 2. Okay. Play the rat. And then we sacrifice the War Chief. To get a Worm Coil Engine. Okay, but before that, let's attack first. I don't think they're gonna block. That was actually kind of a risky attack. They could have blocked there and would have lost the Workshop War Chief. Okay. And the rat. Okay, so the last card is actually Fatal Push. Interesting. Okay. What is my opponent doing? Because now I'm gonna gain some life, which is not something they want. Oh, wow. Kill your own creature. Okay. Oh my god. The top decks are insane. So I was actually dead. Since Wormcoil Engine doesn't have a trample, they could untap the Retrofitter and then sacrifice it after blocking. But now we have the Workshop War Chief. Crazy. We're staying alive. Staying alive. Oh my god. Sacrifice the Wormcoil. Oh yes. Oh yes. And just like that. Wow. That is a game. Okay, so Workshop War Chief? Actually a house. Okay, so they're against our deck. Ah, man, I wish I had artifact removals. Might have to redo the sideboard. So, I'd assume they're gonna bring more removal spells, right? They had Fatal Push main deck. They had Drown in the Lock. Right. Spell Pierce. So, Shaper Sanctuary should be good. I think we bring some Fatal Push. Get rid of a Crater Hoof. Hellish Norn should be pretty good, right? If we can get it down with the pod. I keep sideboarding Fable out. Like I feel like it should be the right card because it's really hard to sideboard out a creature in this deck because of the pod. So maybe Fable is bad. What do I cut? Maybe like Burglar Rat? Maybe something like that? Let's try this. Okay. Ooh. Well, I can't play Crucius. If I was greedy, I would bottom the forest, actually. Am I greedy, though? No. Okay. Is it Elf or Shaper first? I mean, it's always Elf, right? I just realized I got an Overgrown Tomb. Feels bad, man. Man. Grafdigger's Cage? Huh. Would you look at that? Funny thing is, Grafdigger's Cage actually doesn't stop Spawning Pod, by the way. Because Spawning Pod seeks a card into your hand. I think what we should do is probably Spawning Pod and blow up the Graph Digger's Cage. So the reason why I'm going to blow up the Graph Digger's Cage here is because our Forged Automaton does actually use the graveyard. Yeah, so we actually do need some more artifact hate in the sideboard after this. Okay, well that's a bit annoying, but that's fine. What I'm surprised about is why didn't they ninjutsu that 2-mana card as well? Okay, well, let's go. This is the thing. If we had Jaheira here, oh my god. Feels bad. Feels actually bad. We definitely need to change the sideboard so we have Jaheira in the sideboard. This rat is so bad. It is actually so bad. This is the #1 thing we have to change. What? Okay, never mind. Burger Rat is the best card in the game. They had to use a Bone Shard. It actually 3-4-1 them. Okay, well. Oh no. Why did I play the Stomping Ground instead of the Overgrown Tomb? You stupid! Oh my god. Okay, I'm tilted. Oh. So unfortunately, I don't think we can sacrifice the Crucius here. We can still win this 100%. So we kill the 4-4, block the ninja. We take 4 damage. Yeah? Like, our deck can gain life. Just like the first game. We do need a land, though, to play this Workshop War Chief. Next turn, since we do have to use a Fatal Push. I think I'm gonna use a Fatal Push now. Because they could have Drown in the Lock. Well, I guess if they do have Drown in the Lock, we just lose the game anyways. And the card is... well... almost. Maybe I just... maybe we're just too scared of I mean, they even have they brought in Bone Shard to kill our stuff. So I felt like City Stalker Connoisseur was a little bit slow there, so I think we just take that out. Have a more creature to sacrifice the spawning pod. Since we're going first this time. I'm just not sure about Molten Impact. We just don't play that many instant speed and instant speed spells. But it might actually be... might have to be Molten Impact. And just take out the elves. Oh my god. I feel like we've been kind of getting unlucky with the mulligan phases. Like, even last game, we've been mulliganing a lot. It's a 24 land deck. Oh no, they have the Ornithopter start. Man, opponent always has that Retrofitter Ornithopter start every single game, huh? Not much you can do. Hmm. Too good. Ninjas are just too good. They're just too good. I'm also kind of unsure about Crucius. I think we put Seiju, the 4-4. We're just taking too much damage. Ooh. He's just Llanowar Elf Molten Impact. Man, ninjas are just so good. Well, the thing about this is spawning pod right now into rat is just terrible. Like, that's not gonna do anything. I think the game's just over here. I could stay, but they have so many ninjas. Sure, like the Grafdigger's Cage doesn't really do anything there, but they're gonna draw so many cards. I don't know. No red land. No spawning pod. No Llanowar Elf. I think it's a mulligan. Oh, I didn't even see we don't have a green source. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That ain't good. Hello, deck? I require a green source, please. Any green sources? If an effect would create one or more tokens, okay, they are just a full-fledged memer. Please, I need a green source now. Right now. Please? Yes! Okay, so I'll play the Elvish Mystic and another Acquisition Expert. They got rid of an Rip Apart, which is pretty significant. Okay, how do I beat these giant creatures? Any ideas? What does keeping another spawning pod do here? I mean, I get to do it twice, right? Which means that I can sacrifice Crucius, get a 4 drop, and then sacrifice that, get a 5 drop. Seems kind of relevant, actually. I'm actually gonna grab a land. Oh no, it's a freaking tap land, no! Help. Ow. What does... Huh. Yeah, I think we have to do it. Okay. My god. So sacrifice the Workshop War Chief to get a Worm Coil Engine. But that won't actually do anything. I think we need to sacrifice the Crucius to get a Chupacabra here. So next turn, trade a 1/1 or choose a soldier card. So we sacrifice the War Chief and get a Worm Coil Engine. Hard game, hard game, hard game. Now, I don't suppose they're gonna attack here. So we sacrifice the Worm Coil Engine. Get a Forge Fire Automaton. And then we sacrifice the Chupacabra. Get back a Workshop War Chief. And hopefully we win next turn. Because we're gonna have a Crater Hoof. I think we won. Unless something goes south. Okay, final turn, opponent. Final turn. Get some life gain. Let's get back. Now it's an 8-3. Pretty sure this is a win. Why do they always leave when I sacrifice that card? It's not like they know I have Craterhoof. Unless they can see through my deck. They're cheating. They're actually cheating. Interesting. Elish Norn, please. Jaheira, please. Reclamation Sage, please. Wait, Legion's End is insane. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. So the cards that I want to get rid of, right? Cards that I want to get rid of. Fable. Go. Craterhoof is a really nice finisher, honestly. This is a really hard sideboard. I feel like Acquisition is really good against her deck. Maybe one less City Stalker, Elvish Mystic. I kinda wanna have Craterhoof. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's actually City Stalker. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like this deck. It's so sweet. Like, it's not super powerful, but at the same time, it's really fun. So in case opponent does have, right, wedding announcement, I'm gonna play the Jaheira out. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Exile target non-land card. Non-land permanent you don't control. Okay, that's fine. I guess I'll play the spawning here. No, I should play this so I can play a spawning pod next turn and then crack it. Outlaw Merriment. Okay. Okay. I think we actually need to get rid of... each of up to 2 other creatures. So I'll play the Acquisition Expert first. Is it Elish Norn? I mean, I can't play it, so... And, it's 6 mana to exile. Just get rid of this. Oh, they played Deafening Clarion. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Ossification. Okay. So, Spawning Pod or City Stalker. If I sacrifice this, I can either get City Stalker, right? I think we should just play this out. Kind of get it going, right? And Jaheira did her job, so... Maybe I should have played City Stalker. I don't know. Exelon's Binding. I could Besage you. And then play Spawning Pod? No. Upgrade the Ravenous. Well, I'm actually curious like what they have in their hand. So I should just play this. It's not like they're doing anything, so... Alright. Attack. Actually, no. We just attack with this, right? Since they can just create the Castle Ardenvale there. I think we sacrifice a Chupacabra into getting... Maybe we actually do it twice. Right? I don't think we played a land. The Chupacabra sacrifice will give us the Rhino. And then Rhino sacrifice will give us our 6/6. And a 4/4, since we sacrifice a Rhino. This deck is pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. I kinda wanna go Sultai for... What is that? 4-mana pirate? That kidnaps instead of a Chupacabra? Oh man, that would be so sick. Can we go 4 colors? Is that too ambitious? What if we don't play Crucius? What if we play... Looks like opponent left. So against the ninja deck, right? Like Acquisition Expert wasn't as good. But in this matchup, it's actually really good. Oh, we can't actually... Well, since they play Ixalan's Binding, I guess I should just play another Spawning Pool here. But I mean, back to what I was saying before. Acquisition Expert wasn't that good versus a Retrofitter start, Retrofitter Ornithopter start every single game, right? But in a more grindy matchup, it's actually not bad. Well, GG's. Okay, so we played 4 games. We went 3-1. Not bad, honestly, for a new brew. We played against a white and black tax deck, mostly humans. And then we played against a Dimir Ninja. We almost, I think if they didn't have the nuts every single game, we might have been able to take a win there, but well played by them. And we played versus an elves. We went 2-0. And the tokens deck that you saw at the end, we kind of crushed them. But before we actually played the last game, I did change the sideboard a little bit. As you can see, we removed the burglar rat and put in an acquisition expert. Also, we in the sideboard we put in the Jahira, and we also put 2 copies of Reclamation Sage. Took out a Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, and Molten Impact, and not bad, not bad. So I will say that acquisition expert compared to the rat is a lot better. Obviously, has better stats. But even then, this card is just it's all right. It's not anything crazy. But what I was actually thinking was when we get the young wolf, I was actually thinking get rid of the chupacabra and put in a Yawgmoth, right? So in this slot, we have Yawgmoth. Instead of maybe Elvish Mystic here, and then instead of Acquisition Expert, we play Persist Goblin. It doesn't really combo, Persist doesn't really combo well with the Yawgmoth, but the idea is that it's a 2-mana card that you can sacrifice the Spawning Pod, right? And this can also block a creature, and if it does die, it'll come back as a 1/1, and then you can still sacrifice a Spawning Pod to get the Crucius. So that's gonna be the idea, maybe like here. Honestly, like this card wasn't actually that bad versus Dirtly decks, right? The token deck that we fought. Although I mean their start was actually pretty hot. We almost died there, but this card is honestly so good versus aggro decks, like just stabilizing. And the 4/4 body is super relevant because of the retrofitters. Oh yeah, also Yawgmoth is a 2-power creature, so Forge Fire Automaton, a 3-drop, can get back a Yawgmoth. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video so far, and if you did, leave a like, comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye bye.